Hi, I'm Carol Corey, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome back to my Creating Corner. And if this is your first time stamping with me, I'm so glad you found me. If you click subscribe and hit the notification bell, then you'll be told the next time I post a video and you'll be able to easily come back and play with me. Well, today I'm going to be showing you that good things do come in small packages. Stampin' Up! Carries these fabulous sets of note cards. You get 20 note cards with envelopes for only $8. And while you might think, oh, but they're small, they're not the size of a full-size card, you can really do them up so prettily. So, how about if I get this camera down to my creating table and show you what we're doing? Let me get it down just a minute. Okay, so here are the 3 note cards that we're going to make together. Precious little Z-fold birthday card. Yes, this is using one of the note cards. You can do fancy folds with the note cards. Here's a get well card for you using the Bright and Beautiful paper. And we're going to start out with the Sympathy card. Now this particular Sympathy card is using the retired paper from the By the Bay Designer Series paper. I think it's the back side of that metallic shell paper. Anyways, for this card, I'm going to be using, for this card that we're doing together, I will be using, let me get it, it's the new Countryside Inn paper. And these papers, I love the blues. I love the blues on here. On the back of this cute one with the little, they kind of remind me of partridges, is this lovely striped paper. Now this is striped with the Night of Navy and Misty Moonlight. This set of papers is Night of Navy, Misty Moonlight, and Balmy Blue. Look at the cute little bunny rabbits, and there's some little foxes. So it's really pretty paper. Here we've got just the trees. Is there another one? Oh, that's the other bunny rabbit. And there it is. And some pretty, just kind of bolder floral. And of course, as with all of Stampin' Up's gorgeous papers, on the back are beautiful some more beautiful designs. Boy, bleh. Can't talk today, sorry. And so I've chosen to use this striped one for this card. So let me get these all folded up. This is the Countryside Inn. It's in our current catalog. If you don't have a catalog, if you want to just send me a message or leave a comment in the messages below, I will send you one in the mail without a problem. If you don't have a U.S. demonstrator and you need one, you know, just message me. You'll have my website information, and you can just message me and I'll get you a catalog. So, getting started on this card, on this Sympathy card, I am going to use the Hope and Prayer stamp set. Going to be using the You Are In My Prayers sentiment from this stamp set. I'm also going to be using the Heartfelt Sympathy from Seaside Bay. I love this stamp set. Isn't that precious? You are a pearl, rare and precious. I just think that's beautiful. And thank you for everything. It's a lovely set, lovely set. But we're going to use the Heartfelt Sympathy out of this set. And I'll be using the Something Fancy dies for this card that we are doing together. This card, I did use the layering diorama dies, but they are no longer available. So I'm going to use the Something Fancy. I mean, you can still use the products that you have on hand. So, yeah. So let me get all these out. So these are the Something Fancy dies, and they're just a lovely selection of shapes. I'll be using the smallest of the fancy little square. And I'm going to use this, it's the Tinsel Gems 3-pack. So I'll be using the Misty Moonlight gems from this Tinsel Gems 3-pack. Let me put this aside. Okay. Now I'm not using one of the cards that came with the note card set. I actually used a note card to do some stamping on it and cutting out. But here I've got some gray granite cardstock. It's 7 inches long. It is 5 inches wide, and it's scored at 3.5. This is the size of the note cards. So your completed card is 5 by 3.5. Now I have some designer series paper. It's that striped paper from the Country Inn set. This paper is 3.25 by 4.25. Don't you love how I've got the measurements here and they're also up the side? On the other side you have it in metric. So this grid paper is available in the catalog. It's great for measuring, great for making sure your stamps are straight because you've got the little lines all the way across, and it's good for figuring out sizes when you're trying to design your own card. So this card will be the background. This is so quick and simple. This one I'm going to just do a little bit of stamping on. And where is my night? Oh, there's my Night of Navy. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside sentiment. The reason I'm going to stamp the inside sentiment, if I get it crooked over here, I can fold the card the other way and hide my boo-boo with the designer series paper. I've had to do that before, but I'm going to put this straight along my grid paper line. And then I'm going to use this just to kind of see where I need it to be. I have an astigmatism, so yeah, things are a little wonky for me sometimes. So I'm going to line it up. There we go. So now if I do it right there, that should be straight. Another thing to do also, you can line your stamp up. Make sure that your card is straight if you're using your grid paper. You know, if you haven't been stamping long, you might need to do this. If you have been stamping a while, you might need to do this. But when you have it straight with the grid paper, if you take your block and you position your block even with the top or the side, that will really help you get it straight. Now when you're inking your stamp, you're not going to push and smush. You're just going to tap, tap, tap. You're just going to tap it a couple times. Take a look. Oops, I pushed a little too hard, so I've got a bit of a halo on the side there. Let me just get some tissue and wipe that off. Okay. Tap, tap, tap. I'm going to tap it on the paper. Perfect. There's no extra marking. So I'm going to make sure that my block is lined up with the top and the side. And there I've got my sentiment stamped straight. Perfect. Let me just clean my stamp off on my simple chamois. Takes the ink right off. Yes, it gets stained, but that's okay. Now that is really the only stamping that we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to take my designer series paper and I'm going to take this Night of Navy ribbon. It's got the lighter in the middle and it's rimmed with the darker. It's going to be a total of about 7.5 inches. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a little dab of tear and tape. Okay. And I'm just going to put a little tear and tape at the top and at the bottom on the wrong side. And then I'm just going to fold the ribbon over. And with this, with the stripes, you do want to make sure that it's straight against the stripes. Now I'm going to be making a knot, and I'm going to be putting a knot under there. So what I like to do, just for some extra stability, if I'm going to be putting a bow or something on the top, I like to put a mini glue dot. Stampin' Up! Sells these fabulous rolls of mini glue dots. So I'm just going to grab one with my tweezers. There we go. And I'm just going to tuck it up under that ribbon, just to give it a little bit extra stability. I guess I should go ahead and take that off. Okay, done with that. Now I'm going to make a knot. I'm leaving it on the roll until I get it where I want it. That looks good. Cut it nicely. Okay. There we go. Clean up a little bit. These paper snips, did you see how easily it just sliced right through the ribbon? I love, love, love these Stampin' Up! Paper snips. They've got this really awesome point if you got to get into something, and you'll see us doing that in a minute. Well, maybe. And they're super sharp, they're super small, they're well balanced. I really, really like these. I think people who do not have the paper snips don't really realize how much they need these paper snips. Everything I'm using and all of your measurements I will have down below. But anyways, let me get going with this again. So here I go. Do I want the bow to be like that, or do I want it to be like that? My little knot. We shall see. What I do want to do first is my sentiment, Heartfelt Sympathy. You'll see I embossed it in silver. Stampin' Up! You can get the embossing powders, come in these precious little tubs. You get them in 3s. Now this is the silver. It comes in the metallic set. It comes with copper and gold. This is the embossing tray. You get the tray, you get the embossing buddy, you get a brush to brush off any extra powder that may have gotten somewhere, and look at these fabulous tweezers. They hold even if you're not holding them. If you're using a heat gun, you're going to want to use tweezers. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my Misty Moonlight cardstock with the embossing buddy. This helps break your static, and it lessens the chance of your embossing powder sticking to a place you don't want it to stick. Okay, let me go ahead and grab it like this. Now, this is, oops, silly me, I didn't stamp it yet. I'm just so excited about the embossing part. See here, I've got my Versamark, and I've got the Heartfelt Sympathy sentiment from the Seaside Bay stamp set. And I'm just going to stamp it right in the middle. Now before I start pouring any embossing powder, I am going to be sure to cover my Versamark so I don't get powder spilled all in it. Okay, here is my embossing tray. Now I'm going to take my powder, pour it over, let it sit a minute, and there we go. Now it's got a little bit right there. Let me just brush that off. Good, good, good. Before I go ahead and emboss that, let me put this powder away. Look at all the extra powder in my tray. This is what's so fabulous about this tray. Yes, you can put it on paper and then fold your paper and hope it doesn't spill over the side, but you screw this off and it's a funnel in here, and it just goes, and you just kind of funnel it down. Use your brush to brush your embossing tray clean. And all your extra powder is back in the tub where it belongs. If you do a lot of embossing, this is a nice tool to have. Put my powder up. See, it comes a nice little set of 3 powders. Okay. Now this is a little loud. I'm going to hold it with that so I don't burn myself. Your heat gun gets very hot. And you notice I have the powder put away before turning my heat gun on. If you hit your powder with your heat gun, you're going to ruin it all. It did make the paper curl a little bit. You can heat the paper from the underneath and that'll usually straighten it out. But I'm just going to put a, oh wait a minute, it's not quite done. Yikes. Let me hit it again. There we go. So I'm just going to put a little bit of washi tape to hold it instead of hitting it from the bottom. Let's see. See, it's flattening it out. But now to cut it out, I'm going to use my mini Stampin' Up! Stampin' Emboss machine. Isn't this the cutest? It's so nice and tiny and folds up. Perfect for travel. So let me put my bottom plate in. I'll put my plate number 2, my cardstock, another plate number 2, and my shaky card table here. There we go. Fold it up and gets right out of the way. Don't you love how it folds? The big one folds too. So, there we go. Multipurpose glue, or multipurpose liquid glue. You don't want to put it right to the edge because then it might ooze out, and you don't want that happen. So, I'm going to flip it over, glue it to the card front. I like using the liquid glue because it gives you just a minute to move things. Okay, I think that's a good place for the sympathy sentiment, so I'm going to put the knot right there. I'm going to take a glue dot. I'm going to attach that just with a glue dot. You can just touch the back and pulls it off that way. There we go. And now a couple of dimensionals will be good. The dimensionals, if you price it out, they're like 2 cents each. They're pennies. So I use a lot of them. It adds a little bit more stability also if you're going to be putting it in the mail. So, oopsie. So here I'm putting it right here. And now just a little extra shine. I'll use the Misty Moonlight since I used Misty Moonlight there. These are the Misty Moonlight gems from the 3-pack. Stampin' Up! Does also have the 5-pack with some different colors. Now the easiest way for me to get the gems off without popping them across the room is to put my finger on top, grab it, put my finger on top, and then slide and push it to the side. Oh, that one doesn't want to move. Oh. And it went anyway. So that's okay. So I'm going to put one there. I'm just going to put 3 across the bottom. I'll put 3 across the bottom. That'll do. Heartfelt Sympathy. Isn't that pretty? And honestly, if I wasn't talking so much, I could have had this card done in like 2 minutes. So, I will be a little bit quicker on the next card. But I do love this card. And it's always nice to have a sympathy card on hand, unfortunately. And when you need one, that's usually when you're not wanting to have to make one. So, well, let me see what we're going to do next. How about a Get Well card? I think it's time to cheer things up. Okay, let me get this cleared away and then I'll get right to this card. Hang on. All right, card number 2, ready to go. Now with card number 2, it is a Get Well card and we're using the Speedy Recovery stamp set. And this is just adorable, little tissue box, little flowers, that's cute. But today we'll be using the cup and the spoon as well as these 2 sentiments. Whoopsie. Now we do have a favorite from way back. Pretty Peacock has returned. So I did this on a Pretty Peacock card base instead of using the regular note card. Actually, I'm using the note card I've kind of cut up, and I'm using it to do the inside panel and some stamping for the little oval right there. I'm also using this wonderful oval punch. I like punches. They're so quick and easy. So I've already gone ahead and cut out using the deckled, what did I do with them? Here they are. Okay. I used these deckled rectangle dies. So, so I used this size and this size, so that'd be numbers 4 and 5 from the center. But I do like how it gives that little torn looking edge. Okay, so I've already cut out my lemon lime and the lemon lolly paper. Now my designer series paper here is from the 6x6 Bright and Beautiful set. Look at these gorgeous papers. Let me flip real slow. They are very bright and very beautiful. And let me show you the other sides. Of course, like all of our designer series paper, both sides are fun. Whoops! Both sides are fun. So that is the Bright and Beautiful DSP. Here I used the Boulder Stripe one on this card. I'm going to use, this kind of looks like colored little Tic Tacs to me. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Pretty Peacock card base. It is just like the note card size. It's 5x7 and it is scored at 3.5. So my note card is 3.5 by 5. I'm just going to go ahead and glue my, see that side's pretty too. It's kind of like a watercolor lemon lime. So I'm just going to put some glue on that. Yes, I used a lot. Okay. Now this paper is not directional, so you don't have to be careful, but of course if it had flowers, you'd have to be careful that the flowers are pointing the right direction. This is a landscape card. It's a long card, not a portrait or up down. This is called portrait, this is called landscape. So this is a landscape card. And as I say, I already cut out my lemon lime. This lemon lime panel is 4 by, and you can see up the side even, 4 by 2.5. And this is one of our brand new colors. We did a color refresh this year, and we brought back Stampin' Up! Brought back Lemon Lolly. And this little panel is 3.5 by 2 1/4. And I'm just going to glue those down and layer them up. Well, I'm going to glue this one down first. Put that in the middle. It's just glued flat. I'm not worrying about a dimensional at the moment. Now, before I glue the Lemon Lolly down, Lemon Lolly's going to go there. Before I glue that down, I have to plan where I'm going to place my cup. The cup is actually a little bit to the left. So I've got my punch, and you see it punches out 2. So I'm going to use the scallop to punch out this strip from Pretty Peacock. If you turn it over, you can see where your thing goes, where your punch is. And I'm going to put this where I want it. Okay, so if the panels are done like that, I'm going to want my sentiment right about there. So that means, so you see, if I had done it right in the middle, it would have kind of crossed over a little bit. I don't want it crossing over, so I'm going to put it a little off to the side. And I think that is going to work well. And I'm going to stamp it in Pretty Peacock. Remember, it's a little to the left. Excuse me. And while I've got my ink open, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my Sending Well Wishes Your Way. Tap, 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 tap. It's all stamped up. Stamp it on there. Ooh, didn't quite get it. So let me ink this back up a little bit more. And sit it and let the paper drink that ink in a minute. Beautiful. Okay. Get that wiped off on my wipe it off on my simple chamois so I don't get ink everywhere. Okay, now while I have it out, I'm also, if you notice, this is on dimensionals and that is on dimensionals, so I need to stamp my cup again and my spoon. And I'm going to cut those out. Now I want to show you something, and just as an aside, we did get our 5 new in colors, but we also got like 7 new colors anyway because it was a total refresh. If you're wanting several of the colors but can't quite spring for all of the full-size pads, Stampin' Up! Sells these Stampin' Spots, but they sell them blank. They sell them without any ink on them. So if you get a pack of Stampin' Spots and your ink refillers, you can make your own little ink pad. So here we've got, and these are easy to take if you're traveling somewhere too. So you can make your own ink pad. Of course, it is just easier usually to use the big one. There we go, and I did get some ink around the side, but that's okay because I'm cutting this out. And while I've got that open, I'm going to go ahead and ink up my spoon. And again, that's something I'm going to be cutting out. And my inside panel, the inside sentiment, wishing you a speedy recovery. Here I've got my, let me show you how to set it up for, oopsie, got a little, make sure that you don't have any little gouges where you're going to be stamping, because that can mess up your impression. Okay, so if you're kind of new on stamping, you might be worried that you're going to get it a little bit crooked. So if you line it up on the grid paper, you put your sentiment where you want it, and you can kind of look across and make sure that it's straight with your grid lines. Then you take your block and you line your block with the top and side edges. That way when you stamp down, it's going to go exactly where you want it. Okay? And I always do my inside card before I glue it. So if I drop my stamp, which I have been known to do, whoops, or get it crooked. I don't know how I got it crooked. I think I have my stamp on crooked. Stamp there. Yeah, I've got my thing is a little wonky. There we go. So I'm going to have to do it a little sideways. Sorry about this. There we go. Okay, that'll work. And let me get my card base. Get this shut. Glue this into my card base. So I don't have to go looking for it later. Remember, it's landscape, not portrait. So there we go. There we go. Now let's do the top. Let's do the front. What I'm going to do is take a berry burst marker and I'm going to color in the hearts, and flower, I've got a green marker to get the leaves. Okay. Now, using my paper snips, I'm going to cut out just the cup. I'm not going to worry about that. I don't even know why I bothered coloring it in. But I'm going to cut out the cup and I'm going to cut out the spoon. When you're cutting around curves, you turn the paper, not the scissors. Scissors in and cut out that little cup. Let me show you a way around that. I'm going to take my lemon lolly, ink pad, and a block, and I'm going to put some on the block. Now with a aqua painter, I'm going to pick up some of that lemon lolly and I'm going to fill it in. There we go. And you know what? You can do the same here if you don't want to have such a bright white. You want to kind of knock off some of the white and get a little bit of the yellow in there. There you go. Just kind of makes it not so attention grabbing. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and glue this down here. Oopsie. Make sure it's going the right direction. And then with dimensionals, well, before I put the cup on, well, it doesn't matter. So with dimensionals, on the back of the cup, I'm going to cover the stamped cup, and let's see, where do I want that? Okay. And then I'm going to put one dimensional on the back of the spoon. Now make sure when you are putting your embellishments or die cuts, they can't go past the edge of the card, or you're not going to be able to get it into the envelope. Okay. So then I'll put this in the bottom and make sure it's lined up right. I'm going to glue it down. And of course, a couple little dimensionals for the sentiment. We'll just put the sentiment right there. And to finish it off, we just need some little gems, some little something special. I'm going to grab a couple of these polished dots. Oopsie, this is just, the table's getting to be a mess here. So we're going to put one here. Well, let's go ahead and put one there. Maybe one there. And let's put one on this side. Yeah, it's different from how I did this one, but I think that's cute. So there we have it. Another very fancy little note card. See, good things really do come in small packages. So, one card left. What are we going to do next? The gorgeous Z-fold with the cheerful daisies. Okay, let me clean this up and then get started right on this one. Alright, are you ready for card number 3? Card number 3 is this very cheery happy birthday. Isn't it cute? Now, that is one way you can set your daisies up. Here's another way, and this one I hit with a lot of Wink of Stella. Ooh, I might do that on this one too. Okay, so what we're going to be doing with this, we will be using the Cheerful Daisies stamp set. There we go, the Cheerful Daisy stamp set. You made my day. Oops-a-daisy, so sorry. Wishing you the brightest birthday, and your friendship means everything. This oops-a-daisy, so sorry. Too often people don't apologize when they've done something wrong, and that is something that people should remember. But that's also perfect for a belated birthday card. But you've got all these, you've got the full daisy, the little daisy, and the half daisy, and the little sprinkle of 3 happy flowers. But since this is a, whoopsie, where's my card? Here it is. But you notice I have a happy birthday greeting on here that is not in the stamp set. This is from the Go-To Greetings stamp set. All it is different fonts of happy birthday, thinking of you, just a note, and thank you. But look at these beautiful fonts, all different kinds of fonts, all different kinds of sizes. I'm using this happy birthday. I think it's a lovely little size. Along with these 2 stamp sets, we're also using this punch where you can choose which one you want. And I've been using this side. I think I'll use this side for the card that we're doing together. But we've also got lots and lots of dies to use. First, can you see the daisies are built on a green background, and this green background is scalloped. That is from the Scalloped Contour dies, and I used this die. This set goes along with a stamp set called Color and Contour, and these flower shapes will cut out the flowers from Color and Contour, but these frames are perfect for so many other projects. So yes, so I used the Scalloped Rectangle from that die set. Let me put it in its bag so I don't lose them. I've already done the cutting for you, so to speed things up a tad bit. Our other dies that we're using are the Cheerful Daisy dies. Look at all the dies you get in this set. So you've got your framelit type dies where you can just stamp your flower and then cut the outline, and that is what I've done on this card. But if you want to not worry about stamping, look, you've got the different shapes, the different pieces of the flower. So here you would cut out in one, whoops, this one's a set of 3, but you would cut out in one color and then place it on top of the outline. And you've got a little branch if you want to stick them in there. This die set is 3 flowers with the leaves attached, and a lovely little word window. We all like our word windows, and of course you can cut out your the center of your daisies. But I've just done the regular, using it as a framelit. Oh, and the other stamp, the other die in there is this ferny frondy thing, and I do want to show you something about that die. Alright, so let's get started. I want to show you, when you've got a stamp set that has a detailed stamp and the fill stamp, okay, you're going to want to either stamp off or you're going to want to use 2 different color inks. Now here you see the detailing is a little bit darker than the fill, because I used the Daffodil Delight and then I filled it with our new Lemon Lolly. So let me go ahead and show you what I did. This is how your Daffodil Delight filled with the Lemon Lolly looks if you don't stamp your Daffodil Delight off. Here's if you just do the whole thing in Lemon Lolly. I went ahead and went to the side a little bit so you could see, you know, that there is the other stamp used. You just can't really see it. Here is the outline, the detail part done in Lemon Lolly, and your fill part done in the Daffodil Delight. That gives it more of a orangey fall color. That would be a pretty order to use your inks if you wanted to do this more towards the fall, or even, you know, depending on the designer series paper you use, it could be bent towards fall, but there's plenty of cute flowers that are this color in the summer. This is what we're doing. This is stamping off the Daffodil Delight and then using the fill of Lemon Lolly. Now, if you are new to stamping or relatively new to stamping, these are photopolymer stamps. This stamp out of the Go-To Greetings is red rubber, and you notice it's got some foam underneath it. It's got a little bit of padding. When you're using these clear photopolymer stamps, for best stamping, sometimes you're going to want to use some type of pad. Now you notice it's not gushy, but there is a little bit of give to it. Okay, it doesn't give a whole lot, but it does have a little bit of give. So that's one thing you need with your photopolymer stamps. And then I said that we stamped off. You may not know what that means. Let me show you what that means. Here's my Daffodil Delight. Here is the detail part of my stamp, of my daffodil, of my daisy. So I'm inking it up with my ink. And I'm going to stamp it lightly on scrap paper and then stamp it on the cardstock that I'm going to be cutting out. So it's a little bit lighter. Let me show you full strength. There's full strength, and that's stamped off. Okay. Let me go ahead and do all of them. Stamped it off. I'm going to need to wash these. Put that aside. There. And then my half flower. Stamp it off and then stamp. Now if you notice, these blocks are much smaller and thinner than the regular Stampin' Up! Blocks. I got these with my Paper Pumpkin subscriptions. Paper Pumpkin is just a fabulous little subscription that you can get, and every month you get everything you need to create the cards or whatever. Usually it's cards, but twice a year there'll be a different type of craft. But the first time you get your Paper Pumpkin, they'll send you also the acrylic block, because when you're using the photopolymer stamps, you need the acrylic block. Okay. So I've done my 3 flowers in the stamped off Daffodil Delight. You notice how much darker it is when I stamped it full strength. Now let me get my Lemon Lolly. And here's the glorious thing about your photopolymer stamps. You see through them, so you know exactly where you're stamping. Let me go ahead and stamp this one there. So that's how it is when you don't stamp it off. And this is when you do stamp it off. A little more subtle. Now, as I said, I've already gone ahead and stamped and cut my flowers, but let me show you how you fill in the inside. This is copper clay, one of our new in colors. In the stamp set you get the centers. So the little center, doing it in the copper clay. The little center is good for the half flower and the littler daisy, and then you've got the bigger one to go in the big daisy. So there you go. Let me put these to the side. I will be using that again. Let me just wipe, give a quick wipe, because I'm going to need this one. There we go. Excuse me. All right. Everything to the side. Everything to the side. Okay. Now, for our card itself, I am using one of the note cards from the note card set. Remember, you get 20 note cards and envelopes. 20 note cards and envelopes for only $8. So this is the note card, and it was pre-scored. I went ahead and scored it at 1.5. So there we have it. And I'm going to give it a good rub with my bone folder. So that is how I have my Z-fold. Now I also have Garden Green, and I've cut this out with the rectangle from the Scallop Contour set. This is 3 3/4 by 2 1/2. Then I've got 2 pieces of my Cheerful Daisy Designer Series paper. One is 1 1/2 by 4 3/4, so you can see it up the side and across the bottom. And the other is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Now I'm going to go ahead and, whoopsie, glue these down. Ooh, that was a lot. Okay. Now sometimes with your paper is very direction oriented, so pay attention, okay? Now this is normally how your card is folded, but I've got the front folded back. So make sure you have it folded back before you glue the Designer Series paper down, or you might put it on the wrong side. So there we go. And I'm going to cover this entire inside with the Designer Series paper. No fear, I am going to put some plain white in there to write on. So there, just glue, glue. I'm almost done with my card. So here's my base. Now, in copper clay, I'm going to take this little scrap that is 3/4 of an inch by 2 1/2 inches. I'm going to take my Happy Birthday sentiment, tap, 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 stamp off, make sure it's good. It is, tap, tap, tap. Happy birthday. Perfect. Now, if I cut it right, it should fit in there. It does. So let me open my thing. Remember, if you look from the back side, then you can see where you're going. But with this, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to slide it up in there. Look how far in it goes. That bad boy goes all the way in, doesn't it? But you see, it's just the very tippy edge. Okay? It's not going to cut it way down. There you are. Perfect. And then I'm going to squish this flat, and I'm going to slide that up, and that locks it flat. It locks it for storage. Nice, easy storage. Okay. Here I have a white panel that is 2 by 3 1/4. This I'm going to put in here, and if you notice, it fits just inside the this white panel to the green panel. And I'm going to build my panel before I attach it to the card front. Okay, now here comes some major, major fun. This is going to be a little twist to you. Something I know you're not expecting. I like how the insides of daisies or sunflowers are dimensional, are like textured. So I took a little square of copper clay cardstock. I don't know how well this would work if you used regular big box cardstock, but Stampin' Up! Cardstock is dyed all the way through. When you cut Stampin' Up! Cardstock, you do not get any kind of white edge around what you've cut. It's dyed all the way through. So if you want some fluff, say you want to do a fluffy chick and you want some yellow fluff on it, or you want the fluffy inside for your flower, you can take a piece of your Stampin' Up! Cardstock and your paper snips. Remember I said they were so sharp? And if you rub it on the edge of your cardstock, look, you see how it's fluffing up? See how it's just shaving it and creating all that little fluffy stuff? That's what we want. That's what we want. So we're just going to rub it on the edge, rub it on the edge, and we get this fluff. That's how we get this fluff. Isn't that cool? Now this is a technique you can use for a lot of different applications. Okay, so I think I've got enough. I've only got 3 flowers to fill in. Okay, now how are we going to get it to stick to that flower image? Let me get my flowers. Here are my 3 flowers that I've stamped and cut. Now I'm going to take a Q-tip and some regular white glue. This is just regular white craft glue. It's not the liquid all-purpose glue. The liquid all-purpose glue does not ever really, it just stays tacky. You don't want something to be tacky on this. So I've just made a little puddle on a piece of scrap. You could put it on your silicone craft sheet if you like, and then it'll just peel right off. So I'm taking a Q-tip, dip it in the glue, rub it just in the middle of the flower. Yes, I've got far more glue on here than I really needed, but it's okay. More is more, right? So there we go. And now we're just going to stick some fluff on there. Yes, I'm going very heavy-handed just for that first pass. It's okay. There we go. Now, just kind of wipe your excess off. Carefully, you don't want to take it all off, but just kind of rub your excess off. And there's 1. 2. There we go. And my 3rd one. It just adds a little bit extra dimension. This birthday card is like the superstar of the box. You'll see what I mean when I say of the box. Okay. Here we go. I just think that makes it fun. There they are. Okay, now I did have this little wooden embellishment. This is just something I had on hand. This is a discontinued, but you know, Stampin' Up! Is always coming out with new products, so this is a good one to keep your eye out for. I have cut out 3 of these ferny fronds using this die. This is from the Cheerful Die set. I just wanted to point something out. When you look at it, it's like, holy mackerel. How are you going to get that out? Sometimes it comes out easily like that, but sometimes it doesn't come loose this easily. So what do? This is called a take-a-pick tool. Now on one end you've got some sticky little tacky putty, and then on the other end is this pokey tool, which comes out and you've got this fabulous flat spatula. If you put something down and you need to get it up, the spatula will pick it right up. The spatula is great for a lot of different things. If you have a very detailed edging around a die and it's kind of stuck up in there, you can push that down and help get your die free. But on this die, now can you see it's got the little release holes? Can you see it's got the little tiny release holes in there? If your paper's not coming out easily, you take your take-a-pick tool and you poke the little release tools and it pushes your, let me do it this way. Can you see it pushes your paper free? Pushes your paper free. And so it comes right out. Now sometimes if it sticks in there, you can take your tool and run it through the grooves and get it out. But didn't need to do it with this one. So there we go. The Take-A-Pick tool. Very handy for a lot of reasons. Okay, now I've got my panel. I've got my birthday sentiment. I've got my flowers. How am I going to set this up? Let's have this flower coming in this way. Maybe put the bigger one up here. Remember, you can't come too far off because then you don't want to be over the edge of the card. Okay, let's put this one here. Get some greenery. I like to build my cards before I glue anything down or adhere anything permanently. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get this one stuck down. I'm going to go ahead and glue it flat. There we go. It's coming in. Happy birthday. I'm going to trim the edge off that. I'll tell you what, I might flag it so I can tuck it up under. I think that'll fit. Let's see how that fits on the card front. Okay, I don't want it any further than that. No further than that. Okay. So I can put that flower there. Okay, got it, got it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to hold those tight. I'm going to turn it over. And I'm actually going to grab a dimensional to glue those. It's still set the way I needed it. I grabbed my dimensional and I'm going to put it right there so it grabs both the flower and the sentiment. There we go. I might want to put it a little bit further in. Let me bend that a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. Okay. I think I need to put this. I'm going to grab a little bit of tear and tape. I'm going to put the tear and tape across up that direction. Why? You'll see. I've got a length of string here. Let's see. It's 16. It's about 30 inches long. What I did is I held it in my thumb and forefinger, spread my fingers out a little bit, and then I wrapped it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. That's how I got my amount to cut. Now I'm holding it where the 2 ends are, and I'm going to grab this side and pull it through to these 2 ends. Now I've got a big old figure 8, and I'm going to stick that figure 8 down on top of that piece of tear and tape. So there we go. So everything's going to be built on top of that. Okay, I'm going to put a now we have to put it on the card front. Now remember, you don't want to attach it all the way across. You only want to put glue on this very edge. So it's kind of heavy. I'm going to go ahead and use 2 strips of tear and tape. Tear and tape will hold heavily embellished panels. So there we go. There we go. You don't use scissors with tear and tape. It's called tear and tape for a reason. Okay. Let's kind of try to center that up. I need to be looking at it straight on. There we go. Okay. Now, let's stamp the inside. Let me get some more lemon lolly. And I have this set. It's just a cute little cluster of flowers. I'm going to put it here at the bottom. And in copper clay, I will stamp the sentiment, wishing you the brightest birthday ever. Or brightest birthday wishes. Okay. Make sure you've got that straight, have that straight. Wishing you the brightest birthday. Now, I did not use my Stampin' pad, but that turned out okay. All right. There we go. So now the only thing I need to do is glue this on the inside of the card. Of course, you can use your tear and tape if you want, but no, I didn't use the leaf because I didn't get the green. Woo, do you see what I did? I almost put it in upside down. That's not good. Don't put your panels in upside down unless you're doing it on purpose as a joke. Okay, now, of course, more is more. Let's make this sparkle a little bit. I've got a butterfly, my brushed brass butterflies. I'm going to put a cute little butterfly on here. This one, I've got the rhinestones. This one, I'm going to put a butterfly. Let's put it right there where the white is showing. You know what? Whoa. More is more. Let me put some rhinestones on that one too. Grab my rhinestones. Now you could use some of the colored, in color dots, you know, something to match. But this is kind of on the dark side with the darker garden green and the copper clay. So I'm thinking just some bright little rhinestones will lighten things up. You do have the little butterfly there, but she's not very, very obvious. I'm going to put a little rhinestone in the middle of that flower. And in that flower. And how about right underneath, right between happy and birthday. Oh, I like that. I like that. So there we have it. My 3 cards to show you how fabulous these note cards are. And I know I kept saying that they were smaller than a full-size card. They're not that much smaller. Let me show you. I should have showed you to begin with. Here is another version of a cute little card with the using the note card. Of course, this is much simpler. This is a full-size card. Okay, this is the full-size card. And you'll notice I am using the cheerful daisies on this card. Wishing you the brightest birthday. And this paper is from the Bright and Beautiful 6x6 designer series paper. But this is the full-size cardstock, card base. And this is the note card. So it's not that much smaller. It does still go through the mail. It's not like the little 3x3s. So it does go through the mail. And it is a little bit smaller than your full size. But the nice thing about this size card is with the regular 8.5 by 11 paper, you can make a nice sturdy box to keep your note cards in. And look what a fabulous gift this would be. I've already got some in there that are in their envelopes. But can you imagine opening up a birthday gift and it is a box of note cards? How much do cards cost, right? They're so expensive. But if you made a set of note cards, now I've got 6 in here, but if you just made a few note cards and put them in a precious little box like this, what a gift that makes. I know for Christmas one year I did a different style box with thank you cards for my kids. Anyways, I'm going to do a video showing how to make this box, and I'll put the link below. But anyways, yeah, that is the finishing touch to making this beautiful set of note cards. So as I said, I'm Carol Corey, creatingwithcarol.stampinup.net. If you do not have a US demonstrator and need one, I'd be more than happy to help you with your stamping and scrapbooking needs. And if you need a catalog, please send me a message through my website, which you'll see my website here on the video, or just leave a comment down below and I'll get a catalog right to you. So anyways, well, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you like my cards. If you do, please, please give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And until next time, keep making the world a beautiful place. Bye.